see, when we speak about prayer, in Hebrew, prayer is talitha. And that talitha means to have a discernment, to have a discipline, to have a time of reflection and judgment. Amen? This is what prayer means. So when someone goes into the place of prayer, they're reflecting upon themselves. They're reflecting upon their lives. Judgment comes in prayer because you are putting yourself in the presence of God, and God is able to judge you and direct your life in the correct way. Amen? Discernment is also in the place of prayer. When you are praying, when discernment is coming, you are understanding what is for God and not for God in your life. Amen? These are the things that make up prayer. Amen? Also in prayer, there is thanksgiving. When we are praying, we're also thanksgiving. And also in prayer, there is petition. Petition is meaning to petition, Petition means to formally ask from a higher power, respectfully and formally. Amen? So since God is your higher authority, when you go to the place of prayer, you go to Him because He is King, and you speak correct. You ask from Him correct because He is in higher authority. Amen? That comes with prayer. And also in prayer, ascension. Ascension just means an increase of power. Amen? So when you go in the place of prayer, you are increasing in power. You're increasing with authority. You're in communication with one that has great authority. Amen? That is prayer. Now, crying out to God and praying is not the same. You see, in Hebrew, crying means levot, and it's a response. When we are crying out to God, it's a response to a desperation or an urgency in our life. Amen? You see, with prayer, prayer is not something that you can just do with emotions or with your heart. You see, to have a prayer life is discipline. Amen? To have a prayer life is discipline. But to cry out to God is you opening your heart, you opening your soul in response to an urgent need that you have. Amen? That's the difference between crying out to God and praying. Amen? The reason why many don't have a strong prayer life is because they go with motivation and high emotions. Someone that has high emotions and small discipline will not be able to have a prayer life. Amen? Because with prayer, you need to have the discipline. Even if you don't want to, you will submit to God. Amen? But many just fall under the category of just crying out to God. They can only go to God when they need something. That's the difference between praying and crying out to God. So there are those, every time they go seek God, it's just to cry out, to ask, to beg. They're always in urgency. But prayer is a discipline that